Defense Exhibit A will come in as Defendant's Exhibit 1, B will come in as Defense Exhibit 2.
No, I have no further questions at this time of Detective Hernandez, but I understand that she's subject to recall.
Yes. Any redirect?
No, no.
Thank you very much. Detective Hernandez, you're released at this time, but you're subject to being recalled.
Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
you very much. Please call your next, does anybody need a recess? No? Okay, please call your next witness.
Edward Sanabria.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's about something we just discussed.
Yes.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
What's your name, please?
Edgar Sanabria.
And Mr. Sanabria, for the record, would you please spell your last name? First name is common spelling.
Yes, sir.
Can you spell the last name, please?
Sanabria.
And Mr. Sanabria, what is your occupation?
I'm a U.S. Postal Inspector.
Can you tell the jury, please, what are the duties of a postal inspector? What do you routinely do?
I'm a federal agent. I investigate crimes involving the mail and U.S. postal facilities.
Now, how long have you been with the United States Postal Service and working as a postal investigator?
Approximately 10 years.
Now, do your duties include assisting law enforcement agencies retrieving surveillance videos from surveillance cameras that are located at post office facilities?
Yes.
And let me direct your attention to May of 2015 and ask you if you became involved in an investigation regarding a shooting that took place on Lake Mary Boulevard.
Yes.
And as part of that investigation, did you assist, as part of your involvement in that investigation, did you assist the Lake Mary Police Department in retrieving a surveillance video that's located at, from a surveillance camera, located at the post office in Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, I did.
Now, specifically, let me direct your attention to May 14th of 2015. On that date, did you and another Lake Mary police officer go to the post office on Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, we did.
And what was the purpose? Why did you and another officer go to the post office on May 14th of 2015?
The investigator was working a case and needed to see if the Postal Service, the post office had videos that were facing Lake Mary Boulevard, and wanted to see if they could be retrieved.
And let me ask you, does in fact that particular post office, and I'm going to show you a map in a moment and ask you to refer to it, but that particular post office on Lake Mary Boulevard, does it have surveillance cameras facing towards Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, it does.
How many cameras are there facing towards Lake Mary Boulevard?
I don't recall, but there's approximately more than 8.
Your Honor, that would be speculation.
He testify if he knows of the world.
Now, did you, in fact, at the request of the Lake Mary Police Department, access surveillance video?
Yes.
And for what particular day and time, approximately, the date, certainly, but the approximate time that did you access the surveillance video?
For May the 11th,
Approximately what time?
approximately early afternoon.
Now, were you able to actually retrieve and view, before downloading or doing or transferring or copying anything, were you able to actually pull up and review surveillance video for that particular time, May 11th, 2015, for the early afternoon hours?
Yes, we were.
And did you review it? Once again, before you did anything with it, did you review it at the post office?
We did.
And just briefly describe to the jury the process. How did you go about accessing that particular date and the approximate time? Once again, before you did any downloading or copying or anything, how do you do that?
So we enter the system, there's a search function. We look for the time, the date that we were interested in, and we inserted some type of memory device, like a USB, into the drive, and you just download whatever time segment you're interested in.
Okay. And after accessing that particular date and that approximate time period, did you, in fact, transfer or copy or download it onto another, for lack of a better expression, memory or storage instrument?
We did.
And what was it? What did you do?
We went back to the Lake Mary Police Department, and I believe there they transferred it to a different media.
Okay, let me ask you, how did you download it from your system? What did you put it onto?
To a thumb drive.
Okay, to a thumb drive. Showing Mr. Lefay double Z for identification. And double W, WWVVUU, TT, and SS for identification.
Yes, you may.
Let me show you, first of all, double Z for identification and ask you if you recognize that.
Yes, I do.
And tell the jury, first of all, what is it about double Z that allows you to recognize it? What do you see on there?
My initials and the date that I initialed.
Okay. Now, did you recently view? Well, let me ask you, what is double Z first of all?
It's a CD of the video from the post office that we recorded.
Okay. And is that a video of the particular surveillance images that you viewed? I'm not going to ask you what the content of it is, but what I am asking you is when you went to the post office on May 14th of 2015, accessed that particular time for May 11th, the early afternoon of May 11th, 2015, and pulled up the surveillance video, is what you pulled up and accessed and saw on that disc, on that CD?
Yes, it is.
Now let me show you WW, VV, UU, TT, and SS for identification, and ask you to look at those and ask you, do you recognize those items?
Yes.
And once again, I'm not going to ask you to describe the content of those items, but I'm going to ask the same question as I asked regarding the CD. Are those still images of the various parts of the surveillance that you accessed and pulled up for May 11th, 2015, the early afternoon hours?
Yes.
And those are still, and just to be clear, are those still photographs, still images of the video that's on double Z for identification?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, Mr. Sanabria, is this accessing of the surveillance videos, is that something that is part of one of the responsibilities or duties that you do involved in any type of investigation when surveillance videos might be of significance?
Yes.
And in your experience, is it unusual for the time on the video to be exact or accurate to be exact?
Jack, that's irrelevant.
Overruled.
Can't answer the question.
Can you repeat the question?
Is it in your experience accessing these type of videos, is it unusual for the time on the bottom of the video, the time, 12:30 or 7:41 or whatever it is, to be accurate?
It's usually not accurate.
That's exactly what I'm asking. I'm sorry. It's not unusual for it to be inaccurate.
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for the confusing question. Let me show you what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 1. I'm going to zoom in. You recognize that?
I do.
And may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Let me give you a laser pointer. Let's push the button.
Thanks.
What do you recognize displayed on the overhead right now?
So this facility here is the Lake Mary Post Office.
Okay. Show us, using the laser pointer, where the surveillance camera is that you accessed the video on May 14th of 2015. Where is that camera?
There's two cameras. There's one right in this corner aiming in that direction, and there's one in this corner here of the facility facing sort of that angle there. Along with, sorry.
Show us where on Lake Mary Boulevard the camera, the second camera that you showed. Where does that pick up?
It's sort of like through the clearing in the trees. You can. Sorry, I'm not very steady.
Now, let me ask you, you mentioned about a second camera that's facing in the other direction. Show us that second camera.
It's pointing, it's kind of off on this side here.
Now, let me ask you, have you had a chance to look at the surveillance video from that camera?
Yes.
And do you recall, does that camera actually show the median? Does it show cars? Are you able to see in that view cars making U-turns?
You can't see cars making U-turns, but you can see cars traveling in that eastbound direction on Lake Mary Boulevard.
Okay, but the actual area where you make a U-turn, that's out of the view?
You cannot see that area.
Okay. I have to go here.
Thank you. Any cross?
Very briefly, thank you. Agent Sanabria,
Yes, sir.
did you document your doings or your labors in a report?
I did not.
You mentioned that, that the timestamp on the video, in your experience, usually not accurate?
Correct. I mean, I can't quantify it, but more times than not, the timestamp's not correct.
So, on this occasion, you don't know if it's accurate or not. Is that correct?
I recall knowing that it was not the exact time, but that was off on a couple minutes. I don't remember whether it was a couple minutes fast, a couple minutes slow, but I remember it being not the exact time.
Did you, in some way, as you looked at the video, did you have some way, and I'm talking about when you reviewed it, did you have some way of noticing from the sun angle, a sundial, Greenwich Mean Time, however it was, that the times that you were looking at on the video were not actual Greenwich Mean Time?
There's no way I could tell. You're saying based on my video, on the video footage,
Correct.
compared to the timestamp that it's showing in the video system,
Right.
I could not.
So the question, explain to the jury how you knew the time was off, you have to say, well, I don't really know.
Well, I'm going based on what the video system's telling me.
The video tells you that the time is off?
Yes. I check the current time, and I compare it to what the time is in the system. I mean, I could tell it was daylight hours.
Okay. Now, you don't know how much it was off. If it was off, you don't know how much.
I don't recall exactly how, you're right.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Any redirect?
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
Any redirect?
No.
Okay, may Mr. Sanabria be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, sir. You are excused. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a very brief recess, 10 minutes. So if you'll put your notepads face down on the chair, follow Deputy Dennis back into the jury room. Something you wanted to say?
Yes, Your Honor. I know that when Mr. Stone said that, Mr. Zimmerman was next up, there was not much comment, but may, Your Honor. And Mr. Stone says, well, the state's discovered response was apparently not distinct enough.
Defense.
But I would note, for the record, that when the court looks at what is in evidence 2, which is the intersection of Lake Mary Boulevard and Reinhardt Road, and then the court looks at 1, which is the Home Depot, featuring Lake Mary Boulevard. 1 is a blow-up of what is on 2. It's just a blow-up. It's really contained within 2, which is, again, both of these photographs.
When the court has witnesses in the courtroom and the rule of sequestration is requested at that time, the court will tell the witnesses that they're not to discuss their testimony with each other or anybody else except for the attorneys. So it is permissible. Court will be in recess for 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Except for standing right there and not taking it out of order.
Okay.
He's got something for me. I know what it is.
What is it? You tell me.
Stuart, you and
You were witness, I agree. Let me talk with you.
Don, what's it? acceptance statement. That's the trial thing. This, if I would, okay, this is the Zimmerman stuff. Okay. So this is, so you know what, I'm gonna need that. Who knows where the deputy Dempsey is? Carlos Mesa thing?
Yes. What I did was he expressed concern
Right.
other patients.
Remain seated, court's back to session.
Your Honor, actually, I misspoke. There is one witness I do want to call before Mr. Zimmerman. It shouldn't be very long. Maybe 10 minutes.
Well, it doesn't matter to me what the length is, I just would like to get this trial going, so.
He's ready to go. He's available.
Is there anything else that we need to take up before we bring the jury in?
Nothing for the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, please bring them in.
Your Honor, these records.
Okay, just a second, T.
I just want to give the court a heads up. The records that I'm going to be showing the doctor involve not only Mr. Zimmerman, their appointment records, but other patients. And the doctor expressed concern, and I understand his concern, as far as privacy for the other patients. So what I did is I just showed Mr. Buffet. I'll show the doctor on the stand the unredacted records, but when I actually offer them into evidence, I redact them just to show George Zimmerman, his appointment. So what gets introduced and becomes a public record doesn't have the names of all the other patients that had appointments on those days.
Not a big issue for the defense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, please bring them in.
Jurors are present.
Please call your next witness.
The state calls Dr. Michael Dillehay.
Please follow Deputy Dennis. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning. Please tell us your name.
My name is Michael Dillehay, MD.
And Dr. Dillehay, can you please spell your last name for the record?
D as in David, I-L-L-E-H-A-Y.
And You told us just a second ago that you're a doctor, a medical doctor?
That's correct.
And tell the jury what area of medicine do you practice? What type of medicine do you?
I'm board certified in family medicine.
And do you have an office?
I do.
And please tell us where your office is, doctor.
My office is in Lake Mary, 100 Waymont Court, Suite 110.
And is that Waymont Court, that's right next to the post office on Lake Mary Boulevard?
That's correct. This is a Bay Tree development.
Now, Dr. Dillehay, is George Zimmerman a patient of yours?
He is.
And when Mr. Zimmerman schedules appointments with your office, do you use his name, George Zimmerman?
We do not.
And, well, first of all, I'm going to ask you two questions. What name do you use, and why do you not use George Zimmerman's?
We use the name Carlos Meza, and that's basically to protect his personal information inside my office.
Okay. Now, let me direct your attention to May 11th, 2015. On that day, did Mr. Zimmerman have an appointment at your office?
He did.
And what time on that day was Mr. Zimmerman's appointment?
I don't recall specifically. We have a printed schedule that has that on
And
it.
I'm going to ask you to refer to that in a moment.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to ask you to look at it right now. Showing Mr. with a triple C for identification and triple D for identification. May I approach you on it?
Yes, you may.
First, let me show you a triple C for identification. I'll show you it side by side. I'm going to show you triple C and also triple D for identification and ask you to look at those documents. Do you recognize those documents?
I do.
And tell the jury what those documents are.
This is a printout of my daily schedule.
And one of those documents, I think it was triple C, that's unredacted. It shows all the patient schedules for that particular day.
It does.
And triple D, what is that?
That's the same schedule with the names of all the other patients blocked out except for Carlos Meza.
Okay. And those particular documents, or I guess it's one document, are those documents generated at or near the time of the information that's actually reflected on the document?
They are generated at that time, and they can be generated anytime we need to refer back. That the schedule's permanent in my computer.
Okay. And that particular document that you have before you, is that kept in the regular course of your business and your practice?
It is.
And is it the regular practice of your business to generate and keep that type of scheduling document?
It is.
Excuse me, Your Honor. No objection to the admission of whatever documents
Thank you.
are marked as, I think it was CC or
Triple C.
triple C. So,
Are you seeking to move triple
I'm
C
offering
in
it in
evidence?
evidence, but I just like to offer the triple D into evidence to protect the privacy of the...
Which one's redacted?
triple D is redacted.
No objection.
Okay. Triple D will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 2.
Doctor, if you can please refer to that document and please tell the jury when on May 11th, 2015, was Mr. Zimmerman's appointment at your office?
12:45
In the afternoon?
PM, correct. Okay.
Showing this is a road with a triple F and triple E from the location.
Yes, you may.
Let me show you triple E and triple F for identification and ask you if you recognize these documents.
I do.
And then please tell the jury what they are.
This is my daily schedule printed out again for Thursday, September 11th, 2014.
And on that date, did Mr. Zimmerman have an appointment at your office?
He did.
What time was the appointment at his office?
9:15 a.m.
And once again, let me ask you the same questions as I asked before. Is that particular document, does that reflect information that is generated at or near the time of the information reflected on the document?
It is.
No objection to triple F.
Okay. Triple F will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 3.
And once again, the appointment was for what time, 9:15?
9:15 a.m.
On September 11th, 2014?
That's correct.
I've nothing further.
Thank you. Cross?
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, Your Honor, just for my purposes, so is that states 3 and 4?
1, 2, and 3. 1 is the area photograph of Lake Mary Boulevard. 2 is the redacted May 11th, 2015 schedule, and triple F is number 3 is the redacted schedule for September 11th, 2014.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Dillehay?
Yes.
Your records in your medical office, such as these, are confidential, are they not?
They are correct.
You would agree that there are HIPAA laws which basically blanket all the records, including these, in your office with confidentiality.
That's correct.
So, on these sheets you have, which you previously testified just now are confidential, you've listed Mr. Zimmerman as Carlos Mesa.
That's correct.
Do you call him Carlos Mesa in the office?
And only in reference to scheduling an appointment.
Do his charts and other medical records that you have in your office, do they refer to Mr. Mesa or Mr. Zimmerman?
The outside label is Mr. Mesa. The information on the inside is Mr. Zimmerman.
And those records, of course, are confidential as well, are they?
That's correct.
Can I just take one moment?
Yes, you may.
Dr. Dillehay, do you have office policies with regard to missed or late appointments?
We do.
And is it fair to say that if a patient is, I'm not talking 5 minutes, but, sit late enough so that it disrupts your calendar, that they would not be seen and they would have to pay for the appointment?
That's correct.
And is that something, is that policy made known to your patients?
It is.
I don't have anything further, thank you.
Any redirect?
Dr. Dillehay, when you said to protect Mr. Zimmerman's privacy, privacy of his records, that's the reason why he used the name Carlos Mesa?
Inside my office, that's correct.
Explain what you mean by that.
We have students rotate through our office, nursing assistant students and CNA students, and anybody who, it's obvious who he is when he comes in for an appointment, and just to try and alleviate anybody trying to sneak a peek at his chart for whatever purpose. And unfortunately, we've had that happen in our office with some other patients for personal reasons, and the precedents had been set previously, and so just to protect his identity from somebody snooping around in my record room, just to make it harder for them to find his chart if they don't remember the name we're using.
Okay, because he's somewhat of a, I guess, public figure, so
That's correct.
people recognize the name.
Right.
I'm going to object, that's legal.
Sustained. Thank you. Any recross? Thank you. May Dr. Dillehay be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, sir. You are excused. Call your next witness, please.
State Laws, George Zimmerman.
You may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Zimmerman.
Good morning.
First, just For the record, please tell us your name.
George Michael Zimmerman.
And for the record, can you spell your last name? The first two names are common spelling.
Yes, sir.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Zimmerman.
Are you working now, Mr. Zimmerman?
No, sir.
And you explain to the jury why are you not working?
Well, prior to the events on,
Trayvon Martin trial?
yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Prior to that, I was working as a forensic loan analyst for several years, and since the events of that day, I haven't been able to find consistent work.
So it's difficult for you to find work.
Yes, sir.
And tell the jury, please, your, I don't know, for a lack of a better expression, I guess, your living situation. And I'm not asking you for your address and where you live, but if you can give the jury some sense of your living arrangements.
Sure. I move around a lot. I spend about half my time in Virginia and about half my time in Florida.
Do your parents still have a house here in Florida?
Yes, they do.
And are there times when you stay with your parents?
They don't stay in that house anymore, but I'll stay in the house at times. Their house, yes.
Okay. Now, how old are you, Mrs. Zimmerman?
32.
Now, what I want to do is I want to direct your attention to May 11 of 2015. And the first question I have is, that day, did you have a doctor's appointment, May 11, 2015?
Yes, sir.
And in order to make that appointment, to go to that appointment, approximately what time did you leave your house that you were living at the time?
I would say 11:40, around 11:40, 11:38, 11:40.
That's when you left where? You left?
I'm sorry, 12.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. The time that you left where you were living at that time
Yes,
to
sir.
go to your doctor's appointment.
Yes, sir. That would have been about 12:38 to 12:40, roughly.
And where did you travel? I mean, give us, and once again, I'm not asking for your home address at that time or now. But
Yes, sir.
Give us a general sense or location from where you started to go to your doctor's appointment.
In Lake Mary, I lived off of Lake Emma Road, and I went from Lake Emma onto Greenway, I believe it is, at that intersection. I took Greenway down to Lake Mary Boulevard.
Let me ask, is it Greenway or Greenwood?
I am sorry, I don't remember
I'm
exactly.
going to show you the map in a few
That would
minutes.
help.
But you drove on either green something
Yes, sir.
towards Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, sir.
You drove on either green something
Yes, sir.
towards Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where is your doctor's appointment? Where is your doctor's office?
It's at the entrance of Waymont Court. It's also known as the Bay Tree.
Is that on Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, sir.
Let me put on the overhead State's Exhibit 1. This has already been introduced into evidence. Is there a laser pointer there, Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes, sir.
Can you just push on the little orange or red?
Yes, sir.
Now, first of all, do you recognize what I'm now displaying on the projector, State's Exhibit 1?
Yes, sir.
And you see Greenwood Boulevard?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it Greenwood Boulevard that you went up to Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, sir, from Lake Emma to Greenwood.
And what type of vehicle were you driving?
Would you like the make and the model, or just the,
Yes.
it's a Honda Ridgeline, it's a pickup.
Showing Mr. Lefebvre G for identification, F for identification, E, D, C, B, and A for identification.
Thank you.
May I approach now?
You may.
Let me show you for for identification G, F, E, D, C, B, and A. Show you these photographs, ask you to look at them.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize those photographs?
I do, yes, sir.
What were those photographs depict?
My Honda Ridgeline pickup truck.
And that the vehicle that you were driving that day?
Yes, sir.
And are those photographs a true and accurate representation or depiction of the vehicle, your Honda Ridgeline you were driving that day?
Yes, sir.
I'd offer those photos of evidence, Your Honor.
No objection, thank you, Your Honor.
State's Exhibit A will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 4, B will come in as State's Exhibit 5, C will come in as State's Exhibit 6, D as State's Exhibit 7, E as State's Exhibit 8, F as State's Exhibit 9, and G as State's Exhibit 10.
May I pose it, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Let me show you State's Exhibit 4. I'll zoom out. That's your truck?
Yes, sir.
And actually, is this your truck on Lake Mary Boulevard facing westbound?
Yes, sir.
Towards I-4?
Yes, sir, correct.
Let me show you State's Exhibit 5. And 4 shows the back of the truck, correct?
If that's the number of this one,
Yes.
yes, sir.
Let me show you 5. This is just simply a photograph of the front of your truck.
Yes, sir.
Show you State's Exhibit 6. And what is State's Exhibit 6 show?
The front passenger side of my Honda Ridgeline with the bullet hole.
Okay, and certainly I'm going to ask you about that in a few moments.
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 7. Another view of your truck.
Yes, sir.
This is the driver's side.
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 8. Another view of your truck, the passenger side, except a little further back.
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 9. What is this State's Exhibit 9 show?
The passenger side window of my truck with the bullet hole in it.
And State's Exhibit 10, that's just simply a close-up now of the bullet hole?
Yes, sir.
Now, at some point, did you get to the, and I'll zoom in, did you get to the intersection of Greenwood Boulevard and Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, sir.
And to get to your doctor's office, do you go straight, make a left, make a right? What do you do to get to your doctor's office?
Coming from Greenwood Boulevard to Lake Mary Boulevard, you make a right.
At that point, what direction are you going in Lake Mary Boulevard, eastbound or westbound?
I believe that's eastbound.
Going towards 1792?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Now, when you were at the intersection of Greenwood and Lake Mary Boulevard, still, waiting or about to make the right, were you able to make the right immediately, or did you have to wait back for either traffic to clear or for the light to turn?
I had to wait for not just traffic to clear, but there was another car in front of me, so.
Okay, so you didn't immediately pull onto Lake Mary Boulevard, you had to sit there for a short time.
Correct.
Objections, repetitive and leading.
Overall. Do you want me to answer that?
You can answer the question, yes.
Yes, correct. I came to a complete stop and then waited for traffic to clear.
Okay. Now, Mr. Zimmerman, when you were sitting on Greenwood, waiting to make your right onto Lake Mary Boulevard, did you see a police vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury, what did you observe? What did you see?
I noticed a Seminole County SUV, and it had clearly marked on the side K9. I'm a dog lover, so I just recognized the picture of a K9, and then it had its name on there as well. And it was, I'm sorry, it was headed from eastbound on Lake Mary Boulevard.
Okay. So on the laser pointer, can you
Yes,
show
sir.
us, it may be off the map here, but can you show us where was he headed, or he or she, the deputy?
I saw them heading in this direction.
Okay. Now, what did you observe that deputy do, either as you were waiting to make your right or some point after that? What did you see that K-9 deputy do?
On the map?
Yeah, show us some of that.
They went into this area here is called Trailhead Park, and actually parked in there facing the intersection.
Okay. So initially you saw the deputy going eastbound at some point?
He made a U-turn or a left turn into Trailhead Park, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, at some point, were you able to make your right onto Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, sir.
And did you in fact do that?
Yes, sir.
When you made your right onto Lake Mary Boulevard, what lane did you get in?
It would have been the right lane, eastbound.
And can you show us, and I'll zoom in as far as I can go. Can you show us on the map?
Let me just ask, members of the jury, can you see that without the lights off? Or do you need me to turn the lights off? You can see it?
It's kind of blurry right now, so.
Well, it's an automatic, so if you, did the auto get turned off? Did the automatic focus get turned off?
It's not.
There you go.
I know it's a little grainy right now, but can you show us with the laser pointer when you made your right, what lane of traffic did you get into?
This lane here, sir. The right lane.
So at that point now, you're traveling eastbound on Lake Mary Boulevard towards your doctor's appointment?
Yes, sir.
Now, at some point, I'll zoom out a little bit. At some point, as you're going east on Lake Mary Boulevard, did anything catch or get your attention?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury, please, what was it that attracted your attention?
A car came up behind me quickly and honked its horn and flashed its high beams.
And can you show us on the map?
Can you see, or do you need me to turn the light
I
off?
can see, yeah. It would have been right about in this area here.
And what exactly was this vehicle doing?
Honking its horn and flashing its high beams.
At that point, what did you think? What
I believed that it was trying to pass me or get around me or tell me to get out of its way.
okay. So thinking that, what did you do?
I went into the left lane. I changed lanes and got into the left lane.
What did the car that was behind you, honking and flashing its lights, what did that car do?
It changed lanes, got into the left lane directly behind me again, and continued to honk and flash its high beams.
Shown on this Dillehay for identification, JJIIHH, GG, and FF.
Thank you.
Let me show you for identification, for the record, J, double I, double H, double G, and double F, and ask you if you recognize those photographs. or what those photographs depict.
Do you want me to go through them one by one, sir?
Yeah, look at each one of them and tell me if you recognize them, please.
I do. Yes, sir.
Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury how do you recognize them? What do you see in those photographs?
That was the vehicle that was following behind me and flashed its high beams and honked its horn and then changed its lane to get behind me again.
Your Honor, I offer those photographs again.
Any objections?
No objection, thank you.
Okay, State's Exhibits double F through double J will come into evidence. The State's Exhibits 11 through 15. Yes, you may.
Let me show you State's Exhibit 11. And I'll just ask this question just one time. But all these exhibits, all these photographs to show the car that was behind you honking its horns and flashing its lights?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is State's Exhibit 11. That's the car?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 12. Car?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 13.
Yes, sir.
14. Car?
Yes, sir.
And State's Exhibit 15. Car?
Yes, sir.
Now, when this car was doing as you described, honking its horns and flashing its lights, and not passing you, what were you thinking at that point? What were you thinking was going on?
I felt concerned. I didn't know what their intent was, but I knew at that point it was not simply to get by me or simply to tell me to get out of their way. I felt they had somewhat...
The witness's opinions about what another person may or may not be doing, number one, beyond his competence, number two, irrelevant.
Nope.
Sustained.
Were we approached, Your Honor?
No, sustained. He can testify as to what he felt, Mr. Zimmerman felt, but not as to what somebody else is thinking.
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
He can testify to actions, but not thoughts.
Were you thinking that you were being harassed?
Yes, I felt scared. I felt concerned, worried.
Have you been harassed before?
Yes, sir.
Did you continue driving eastbound on Lake Mary Boulevard?
Past my doctor's
Yes.
office? Yes.
Yes, that's my question. Let me rephrase it, I apologize. Did you continue driving eastbound on Lake Mary Boulevard past your doctor's office on Waymont Court?
Yes, sir. Again, I was concerned about my safety, and the car wasn't...
Objection, not responsive.
Overruled.
Go ahead, you can-
Yes, sir. I was concerned about my safety. I didn't want to park in my doctor's office and lead who I now know to be Mr. Apperson to my doctor's office, where I would have been a sitting duck.
Okay. So what did you do then? You didn't turn into Waymont Court. You kept on going. What did you do?
Correct. I stayed in the left lane until I got to the next possible break in the median, which would have been Crystal Drive on Lake Mary Boulevard.
And let me, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Let me show you State's Exhibit 1 now. Recognize that?
Yes, sir.
And with the laser pointer, first of all, show us, it's kind of obvious, it says Waymont Court, but just show us where Waymont Court is.
Right there, sir. My doctor's office would have been right there.
All right. So what did you do? You didn't turn into Waymont Court. What did you do?
No, sir. I continued driving in the left-hand lane past my doctor's office, and I came to this point in the break in the median, waiting for traffic to clear up. I was hoping to make my way back to Trailhead Park, where I had seen the deputy, and
that's my next question. Why did you do? Why were you making a U-turn?
I knew that at that point, whoever was following me didn't have good intentions, so I wanted to go back.
Sim objection, Your Honor.
The state.
Okay, let me ask it this way. Were you concerned that someone was following you?
Yes, sir.
And because of that concern, why did you make a U-turn? What was your purpose or goal?
I was hoping to go to where I had seen the deputy parked at Trailhead Park, and whomever was following me could air their grievances with me in front of the deputy and let the deputy...
Or just see the deputy and just go away?
Hopefully, yes, sir.
Okay. So, did you then, and I think you kind of got us at this point, but let me kind of continue it. Show us where you were making a U-turn.
Yes.
Show us where your vehicle is located.
Right in the middle there.
Were you able to make the U-turn immediately, or did you have to wait?
No, sir. I had to wait for traffic to clear up in westbound.
And while you were at that intersection waiting for the traffic to clear, what did you see the silver car, the car that was honking and flashing its lights, what did that car do?
The driver of that vehicle,
Well, first of all, let me ask you, where did that car go?
it stayed behind me. It was, so I think the battery, it was behind me, a few feet behind me. It was still about parallel to Lake Mary Boulevard, and I was about at a 45-degree angle from it, right there, still in the median.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, in the break in the median.
Okay, so he was behind you at that point?
Yes, sir.
Stopped while you were stopped?
Yes, sir. Very close.
And let me ask this just so we're clear. Was he immediately behind you, or were there other vehicles in between you?
He was immediately behind me, sir.
Now, while you were, up until that point, and including that point, when you were standing there waiting to make your U-turn, Was your actual driver's window, the window right next to you, was that open or closed?
It was down about 8 to 10 inches.
And why was it down?
I had been smoking a cigar, and I was letting it air out the window.
Okay. What about the other windows in the vehicle?
All the other windows were closed completely.
And it's probably pretty evident on the photographs, but let me ask you, tell us the windows on your car. How many windows do you, on that vehicle, how many windows are there?
4 that I can.
And what are they?
I'm sorry, I
Oh,
don't.
there's a driver's side window?
Sure, there's a driver's side, passenger side, rear driver's side, and rear passenger
Okay,
side.
that's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
And is there a window behind you? There's obviously a windshield.
Yes, sir.
Is there a window behind you?
Yes, sir. It's actually like a small piece of the glass that moves.
All right. Explain that, please. So we all understand.
It's not like the entire back glass drops like it would in
I got it.
some vehicles. It just has a small window, like most pickup trucks.
Okay. So your driver's window is a little bit down because you're smoking a cigar and you want to just air out the car, correct, or the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Objection, leading.
Okay. It's a repeating of the answer. Please
Yes, sir.
avoid doing that.
Now, all of the other windows on the truck that you just described a moment ago, were they up or down?
They were all up, completely closed.
Are your windows tinted, Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to take it window by window. Your driver's window, the one that's sitting right next to you, is that tinted?
Yes, sir.
How tinted is it?
I don't know the exact percentage, but I know it's considered limo tint.
Lack of predicate.
Well, it is his vehicle. He could testify if he knows.
It is considered limo tint.
Okay, and when you say limo tint, let me ask it this way. If you're standing outside your vehicle with that window closed, can you see into your vehicle?
Absolutely not. That's what limo tint means, that you want privacy so no one can see in, but you can see out.
Cannot see into that vehicle?
No, sir.
Same question with regard to your driver's side back window. Is that window tinted?
That one's also limo tint. Yes, sir.
And that window, if that window is up, if you're standing outside, can you see inside to your truck?
Absolutely not.
Let me ask the same question with regard to the front passenger window. Tell us about that window.
That window's also limo tinted, to the point where you could not see into it if you were standing outside of the vehicle
With the window up.
with the window up.
And the same question with regard to the rear passenger window. If that window's up,
That window is limo tint as well. You cannot see into the vehicle with the window up if you were standing outside the vehicle.
okay. Now, let me ask you, you described the window behind you, not the side, but behind. Can you tell us about that window?
That window is limo tint as well. And with it closed, if you were standing outside the vehicle, you could not see inside.
Okay. As you're sitting there waiting for the traffic to clear and to make the U-turn, did the person in that car that was behind you say anything to you?
Yes, sir.
And tell the jury what you heard that person say to you. And if it involves an obscenity or a curse, then say it, the actual words, just quote it as best as you can.
He said, "You remember me, you fat motherfucker." And
And when you heard that, what did you do?
I thought to myself, I don't know who that is. I don't remember them. I don't recognize them.
Did that person then say anything else to you?
Yes, sir.
What did that person say to you?
He said, "You owe me your life. The only reason I didn't press charges on you was because I wanted to kill you myself."
Now, at that point, when he said those things to you, did anything jar your memory, or did that cause you to recognize him?
Yes, sir.
And did you recognize him?
Yes, sir.
Tell us how you recognized him. What did you recognize him from?
He had made a statement to the media that he had not pressed charges. He had made a decision not to press charges on me, even though that was untrue. It was actually the Lake Mary Police Department that chose.
The truth or untruth?
Sustained.
Okay, but the words that he said caused you to then recognize who that person is?
Yes, sir.
And what was it about the words? I'm not asking you to make a judgment as truth or not truth.
Yes, sir.
What was it about the words that caused you to recognize this person?
He had made that same statement to the media.
And was it in reference to an encounter in September of 2014 with this person?
Yes, sir.
Now, first of all, let me ask you now, the person that you just described, the exchange that you had with, do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Please identify him.
He's sitting right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
A description or where he's sitting?
Where is he sitting?
He's right in front of me.
He's sitting at the counsel table in the chair that's closest to the jury box of the wall.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please let the record reflect that Mr. Zimmerman has identified the defendant, Matthew Apperson. Now, the encounter that you had with him in September of 2014, I'm going to ask you some more questions about that a little bit later on, but was that in the vicinity of the Home Depot PetSmart Circle K on Lake Mary Boulevard? A BP gas station?
I'm sorry, sir. Just to clarify, that's where it ended. That's not.
Okay. Is that reference the encounter that you had
Yes,
in
sir.
September of 2014?
Yes, sir.
During that encounter, that's the word I'll use, encounter. During that encounter, was Mr. Apperson driving the same vehicle?
No, sir.
You remember what type of vehicle he was driving?
Yes, sir.
What type of vehicle was he driving?
A Honda Accord Coupe. Black.
Now, when you described two exchanges, two things that Mr. Apperson said to you, did you respond after the second quote or thing that he said to you?
Yes, sir.
And what was your response to him?
I believe I called him a clown and I laughed.
And in response to that, did Mr. Apperson say anything to you?
Yes, sir.
And what did he say?
He said, "Why don't you pull over and we'll handle it man to man."
And at that point, were you rolling up your window?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
What were you doing at that point he made that final remark to you, let's pull over and handle it man to man?
My window was actually rolling up as he said that. By the time he was done saying that, my window was completely closed.
Okay. Now, you, when the westbound traffic on Lake Mary Boulevard cleared, what did you do at that point?
I completed the U-turn. Oh, do you want
Can
me?
you show us on the,
Yes, sir.
plan?
I completed the U-turn there, and I started heading westbound on Lake Mary Boulevard.
Towards the deputy?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, after having completed the U-turn, was that your intent to go towards, to the deputy?
Yes, sir.
Objection.
Sustained.
Why were you going towards in that direction?
I was trying to get to the deputy.
And what did you observe or see the silver car do?
It completed the U-turn after I did, and got within inches of my rear bumper.
It wasn't, so I guess you kind of anticipated my question. What lane? Well, let me ask you, what lane were you in when you completed that turn?
I was in the left lane.
And the silver car, what lane, Mr. Apperson's vehicle, what lane was that, was his car in?
The left lane.
And tell us, and I think you kind of did a moment ago, because you anticipated my question, but let me ask you right now, about how far distance-wise was Mr. Apperson behind you?
Inches. Very short distance.
Now, at some point, did Mr. Apperson change lanes and get into the right lane?
Yes, sir.
And on the map there, at that point, how many lanes are there on Lake Mary Boulevard going westbound?
2.
And when Mr. Apperson pulled into the right lane, what did he do?
He accelerated to the point where he could get, I guess he would say, neck and neck with my vehicle.
At some point, did he pull up next to you or very close next to you?
Yes, sir.
And at the point when Mr. Apperson pulled up next to you, or nearly next to you, did you look to your right, look in his direction?
Yes, sir, I did.
And at that point, when you look to your right, tell the jury, what did you see?
I saw the driver's side window down of the Infiniti and the silver barrel of a gun, and then I didn't see, I heard
Well, which direction was the barrel pointed?
directly at my face.
Okay. Now let me ask you this question, Mr. Zimmerman. At that point, when you turned around, when you turned to the right and you looked and you saw that barrel of the gun pointing at you, were all the windows in your truck rolled up?
Yes, sir.
Completely up?
Yes, sir.
And when I say all the windows, I'm including the window behind you, not just the side windows.
Yes, sir. All the windows were closed, completely closed.
Is the window behind you capable of going down?
It's not capable of going down, sir. It's capable of moving from the middle to the passenger side,
Okay.
but that was completely closed.
Okay. When you saw the barrel of the gun pointed at you, then what happened?
I heard a bang, and then my ears started ringing.
And what happened when you heard the bang?
My ears started ringing, and then I looked, I could see a droplet of blood on my eyelash, just dangling from my eyelash.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you heard that bang, did you do anything with your vehicle?
Oh, certainly. I slammed on the brakes as soon as, if not, as soon as I heard it while I heard the bang.
Okay. Now, Mr. Zimmerman, this may sound like a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it. When you saw that barrel of the gun pointed at you, were you at that point in fear that something violent was about to take place?
I thought I was going to get shot in the face. That's why I slammed on the brakes.
And when you slammed on the brakes, first of all, let me ask you about Mr. Apperson's vehicle. What happened with his vehicle?
After I looked down briefly and I saw blood on my shorts, and when I looked back up, I could see his vehicle change lanes into the left lane on Lake Mary Boulevard, still westbound.
Oh, well, let me ask you, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, sir.
I guess my question is, did Mr. Apperson's vehicle...
I'm going to object, Your Honor. First, Mr. Zimmerman was answering the question. He was cut off by counsel.
Okay, please allow him time to finish.
Answer the question, and I'll follow up. Go ahead, answer the question.
I'm sorry, I don't mind interrupt, but I don't remember the question now.
What did Mr. Apperson's vehicle do?
Oh, continue driving.
Okay. So he went on in front of you?
Yes, sir, westbound.
What did you see his vehicle do?
It was still driving westbound, and it went from the right lane into the left, and then I saw him make the U-turn and come back towards me.
Okay, so at that point, he was going westbound. I'm sorry, he was going eastbound on Lake Mary Boulevard towards 1792.
After completing the U-turn?
Yes.
After shooting at me? Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, you told us that you slammed on your brakes. What happened at that point? What did you do?
I immediately noticed the droplet of blood on my eyelash. Then I looked down at my shorts and I saw blood. I clearly saw the hole in the passenger side window, so I looked to the driver's side window to see if there was an exit hole, bullet hole. There wasn't, and the drop of blood on my eyelash along with the blood on my shorts, my arms, led me to believe that I had, in fact, been shot. I'm sorry, sir?
So for a brief time, you believed that you thought you'd been shot?
Yes, sir.
So what happened then?
I thought to myself, I can either call 911 and hope that I don't bleed out long enough to give them directions of where I was at, and wait for an ambulance to get there and take me to the hospital. Or what seemed most logical to me was just to drive to where I had seen that deputy as quickly as possible, and the deputy could render first aid or call for first aid.
And the last time you saw that deputy was at Trailhead Park?
Objection, leaving.
Sustained.
Where was the deputy the last time that you saw him or her?
The deputy was at Trailhead Park.
And how far, in terms of maybe time-wise, how far is Trailhead Park from the location where you slammed on your brakes and saw the blood? And
Less than 30 seconds.
so tell us then, what happened? These thoughts are going through your mind, and what happened then?
I believe I left off that my last thought was that I had to make it to the deputy before I bled out.
Right.
So I looked in my rearview mirror to see if there was traffic coming my direction. So I started to accelerate. At that time, I let off the brake and started to accelerate. Pardon. Being in the left-hand lane, I knew I would have to get into the right-hand lane to make the right into Trailhead Park. So I was looking in my rearview mirror to see if the right-hand lane was clear. At that point, I noticed a law enforcement SUV with a light bar on top of it. And when it pulled up next to me, I recognized it was a Lake Mary police SUV. I honked my horn and I lowered my rear passenger side window and I tried to hail him by saying, "Help, help, I've been shot, help me."
Okay. Now, Mr. Zimmerman, you just explained to us what you yelled out to that Lake Mary police officer. When you yelled that out, explain to the jury your demeanor, your thought process at that point.
I would say excited, anxious, scared.
And the window that you rolled down, that was the side, the passenger rear window?
Yes, sir, correct.
Before you rolled it down, was that all the way up?
Yes, sir.
What happened at that point now? You yell out to the Lake Mary officer. What did that officer, what did you see that officer of the vehicle do?
He lowered his driver's side window and told me to pull over in front of him and stop.
What did you do?
I followed his instructions.
So where did you pull your vehicle?
He was in the right-hand lane, westbound, so I pulled into the right-hand westbound lane, possibly more than the right lane, like into the little,
As far as you can get?
as far right as I could get, following the officer's instructions.
Okay. Now, at some point, did more police officers arrive, more police vehicles arrive?
Yes, sir.
Is this a good breaking point?
Yes, ma'am.
Agreed.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
It's 12:30, so I wanted to go ahead and break for lunch. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you some instructions before we break for lunch. First of all, you'll put your notepads face down on the chair, and you'll follow Deputy Demps back into the jury room. When you go to lunch, you could go to lunch with each other, but you could talk about anything in the whole wide world except for this case. It's another way for me to remind you that you're not to discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anybody else. Do not read or listen to any radio, television, or newspaper reports about the case. Do not drive by any of the places described in the evidence for the purpose of doing an independent investigation. Do not read or create any emails, text messages, tweets, blogs, or social networking pages about the case. Do not use any type of an electronic device to go on the internet to do any independent research about the case, people, places, things, or terminology. If when you go out to lunch you overhear somebody talking about the case, please tell them to stop, that you're on the jury. If they insist, please leave them at once and report the matter to the court deputy. If you'll be back here at about 1:45, as soon as we have you all together downstairs again on the first floor, Deputy Dems or one of our other deputies will have you brought up to the jury room up here, and we will begin at 2 o'clock. So do you have any questions? No. Do I have your assurances that you will abide by my instructions? Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your lunch. Follow Deputy Dems. Okay, Mr. Zimmerman, while we're during our lunch recess, you're free to go about your own personal business, but you cannot speak to anyone, and that includes any lawyers, about your testimony because you're still on the stand, okay? And it's improper for you to speak with anyone, including lawyers,
Yes, sir.
about what your testimony has been or will be, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, be back here at 2 o'clock, please.
2 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else that we need to take care of before we recess for lunch?
Nothing from the defense, thank you.
Okay, we'll be in recess until 2 o'clock.
We're going to speak about what our case is here. I just don't see, I'm not going to line up any witnesses.
I think that's safe. I think it's safe.
We've got a lot to go through. I suspect we'll be in the state's case tomorrow morning, actually.
Yeah. I agree with you. Maybe closing it and then,
It's going to be a lot.
I'm sorry? Yes. Yeah,